This
Today we
conference
learn.
will now be recorded.
Today we learn working with array variables. So before we proceed with the arrays, in the previous sessions we declared some variables, we stored some data, and we are able to access the data like this. Before we proceed with the arrays, let me teach you the variables concept, brief, then we go with the arrays. I created a class with the name arrays demo. In this class, I'm inserting the main method. You know, JVM, Java Virtual Machine, execute the code inside the main method. You know, main method is the entry point of a program for execution. Whatever the code inside the main method, that main method code will be executed. Right. I hope everybody, I am audible, right? I'm audible, right? Yes. From my end, I am clear. Well, good. Here, I want to declare a variable to store the name of a person. To store the name of a person, I'm declaring a variable of type string. For example, student name. I'm storing the value into this variable. Student name equal to some name, some data. Say, for example, Richards. Here, I'm accessing the data present in the variable name. Well, Richards is output here. Now my requirement, I want to store all students attending my class into Java memory. Not just one person name, all student names. Now I can go like this. You know, this variable student name is called scalar variable. Scalar variables can hold only a single value. But my requirement, I want to store all the student names in the Java memory. One option, I can declare multiple variables like this. Student name one variable, student name 2 another variable, student name 3 another variable, and so on. Okay, 2, 3 values I want to store, this is fine. What if I want to store 100 students information or 10 students information? I have to declare sname1, sname2, sname3, sname4, and so on. Do you recommend this approach? Will you recommend this approach? You want me to declare the variables like this? No. So this is the practical scenario where arrays can be used. Instead of going like this, sname1 equal to some data, Richards, sname2 equal to second student name, for example, John, S name 3 equal to a third student name, for example, Smith. Here we have declared three variables and we are storing the data into the variable. Okay, here I'm accessing S name 1. Richards will be accessed. Okay. Now, you may have a question. Instead of declaring these many variables, let's have a variable, one variable, S name, the S name equal to Richards. Now here we are accessing S name. Now the data present in the variable Richards. Now I want to store other student name in the same variable S name, which is a scalar variable. I'm storing some other data, second student name, for example, John. Now my question, at this moment, what would be the value available in the variable S name here? You ping me your answer. At this point, what is the value present in the variable S name? You ping me your answer. John. Because S name is a scalar variable. At this moment, the value present in the variable is Richards. Whenever you are initializing some other value, the old value will be replaced with the new value. So at this moment, the value present in the S name is John. Richards overwritten with John. Here, first we have Richards. At this moment, the value available in the variable is John. And here I am accessing, hence in the output you are seeing Richards also. Now what I'm doing, I'm executing this code. At this moment, the data present in the variable S name is John. But I want to store all my student name. Scalar variables not suitable for this purpose. So this is a practical scenario where we go for array variables. Got it? So let us talk about the array variables. Arrays. Arrays are used to store multiple values in a single variable. Arrays are used to store multiple values in a single variable. Like, I want to store all the student names in a single variable. Yes, I can go with arrays. Instead of declaring multiple variables, I can go with a single variable where I can store multiple values using arrays. Here in the bottom of this diagram, in the slide, I have given the example image for an array. A single variable where you can store multiple values of same data type. I'm stressing of same data type. And do remember, while defining an array, you have to mention how many values you want to store into the array. We can store only a fixed set of elements, 4, 10, that you have to define while declaring an array. While declaring an array, you must specify how many values you want to store in it, because arrays are fixed size. During runtime, you cannot grow the size of an array, increase the size of an array. In my code, I have declared I want to store 10 values. Only 10 values are allowed. You cannot store further values. Runtime array size cannot be increased. It's a fixed size. And all elements that you are going to save in the array should be of same data type. While declaring an array, if I say this array is of type int, all elements should be of type integer. While declaring an array, if I say this array is of type string, you have to store all string values only. In the first index, integer. In the second index, Boolean. In the third index, some other data type not allowed in the arrays. So we can store only a fixed set of elements of same data type in a Java array. Right. Arrays are index based. The first element of an array is stored on the 0th index. So I declared an array, I assigned a value into an array. While assigning a value into an array, at which position you are storing the data to be mentioned. The values will be stored in a sequential manner. The second element is stored in the first index of an array. You know, arrays are zero-based index. You please observe this diagram. Supposing I declared an array to store 10 elements. 10 elements. Array length is 10. Array index starts from 0 to 9. In the 0th index, first value will be stored. In the first index, second value will be stored, and so on. Right. In Java, array is an object of a dynamically generated class. In Java, if you define an array, it is an object inherited from object class. So what I'm trying to say, any array you declare inherited from a built-in class available in Java called object. Check out this one. I want to store all my student names in the Java memory. String is the data type because I want to store the name of the students. You keenly observe in the syntax, after data type, I have given a square bracket. It indicates that it is an array. Listen this. String student name. Now here, student name is a scalar variable. Scalar meaning scalar variables can hold single value of data type string. It is a scalar variable. After the data type string, if I put square brackets, it indicates that it is an array. This indicates that yes name is a array of type string. Then, while declaring an array, you have to specify how many values you are going to store into this array. Yes name equal to new string. What is this new string? I said array is a object. You are allocating a space to store this object of type string. And here you have to specify how many values you want to store into this array. For example, I want to store, say, 5 values. The same you can also do like this. I comment this code, string, a array of type string, the name of the array, yes name, equal to, instead of declaring a object, allocating the memory in the next line, directly I can write like this: SNAME equal to new string for storing 5 values. Here both will be the same. Here the both will be the same. It is something like this: int x equal to 10. This and this both will be the same, right? In the same way. It is in the same way. Well, now what happens in the memory? A array will be declared. The name of the array is SNAME with a size of 5. Like this. A array will be declared in the memory to store the 5 values. Now, we are storing the data in the array like this. SNAME of 0, because I said data will be stored in the index of the array. In the first index, what is the data you want to store? In the next index, what is the data you want to store? You have to specify like this. If I define like this, here array length is, what is array length here? You answer me. What is the length of the array here? Five, correct. Here array length is 5. Array index starts from 0 here. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, this code, SNAME of 0 equal to Richard. In the 0th index, we are storing a value Richard. SNAME of 1 equal to John. In the first index, we are storing a value John, like this. Let me do this here. After declaring an array of type string, I want to assign the values. Here, name of my array, SNAME. In the 0th position, I want to store some value, say the Richards. In the next position, here position meaning index, I want to store a value, say John. At next position, I want to store the value, say Smith. At next position, I want to store some other data, say David. In the next position, I want to store some other data, say Mark. So like this, you can store the data into the array. Now, how to find the length of the array? Array name. What is the array name here? SNAME dot length will return number of elements in the array. Number of elements in the array. Do observe the return type. It's an integer. It returns number of values in the array. Return type is an integer. Let us run this code. See the output. We are getting 5. Now, okay, I said try to store some other data into this array equal to some data. And try to access the data. How to access the data from an array? SNAME of its index. I'm giving 0 here. So what is the value present in the 0th index? Answer me. What is the output you get now here? Richards. Well, let us run this code. First, I am printing the length of the array, which is 5. And I am printing the value here. Okay. You please observe, we have received some exception. While executing this statement, we have received some exception. See the exception? Array index out of bound. Why we have received this exception? While executing line number 22, we are getting an exception, out of bound exception. Why? I said, I repeat again, arrays are fixed size. You cannot increase the size of an array during runtime. Here, already an array is declared to store 5 elements. Already 5 elements are stored. You are trying to store the data in the next element which is not available in the array. Array size cannot be extended during runtime. As you don't have the index to store this data, while executing this statement, we are getting out of boundary exception because it exceeds the upper boundary. As it exceeds the upper boundary, we are getting the exception, out of bound exception. So here, what is the point we are concluding? What is the point we have understood here? Array size cannot be extended dynamically. Fixed size. Now I remove the statement and I am executing this code. Yes, length is 5 and we are accessing the value present in the 0th element of the array. Got it? Now, I want to access the entire data. I want to access the entire data. How? I am accessing the data present in the next position. Yes, name of 1. I'm accessing the data present in the next position. Yes, name of 2. And I'm accessing the data present in the next position. Yes, name of 3. Also, I'm accessing the data present in the next position. Yes, name of 4. Let me run this code. The length is 5. We are accessing the data present in the array in this way. Okay, only 5 elements are available. We are accessing in this way. Okay, fine. What if I have 100 elements? Do you recommend this way to access all the elements present in array? Do you recommend this approach? No. Right. Then what you recommend? I have about 100 elements in the array. I want to access all the 100 elements. Loops. Right. So let me access the entire data present in the array using a loop here. Okay. We discussed in the last session, we have while loop, do loop, for loop. Which loop you want me to go with? Here you want me to use while loop, or you want me to use do loop, or you want me to use for loop? While loop. Your answer is while loop, meaning you don't have the clarity when to use what loop. I clearly said, if you know how many times you want to run your code, I want to run my code for 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, 100 times. If I know how many times I want to repeat the same code, we have to go with a for loop. If you want to execute the code condition based, then only we have to go for the while loop or do loop. Here, we know how many times you want to execute the code, 5 times, because the length is 5. As I know how many times I want to run the same code, accessing the data present in the array, definitely here suggested to go with a for loop. Now, for int I equal to, you tell me I value you want me to start from? I value you want me to start from 0 or 1? Because I want to access the data present in array. Array index starts from 0, hence I go with 0. Then I less than, yes, What is the value you want me to put here? 100. Why 100? I less than. Few people have answered 4, few people have answered 5. Less than I am using. Less than or equal to 4. Or if I want to use only less than 5. See here, less than 5, meaning 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Totally 0 to 4, 5 times the code will be executed. If I'm using less than or equal to, we can use 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I'm using less than or equal to. But I recommend don't hardcode this data. Now what I will do, because in future, I may add some other data, that time I may increase the size of the array. So don't hardcode the value. What is the name of the array here? Yes, name dot length I'm using, because dynamically it returns number of elements available in the array. Then each iteration, I want to increment the I value. If I use less than or equal to, we have to use length minus 1, because length returning number of elements, 5. If I use less than or equal to in the last iteration, definitely we get out of boundary exception. So we have to use less than. Now in this scenario, length is 5, I less than 5. That is 0 to 4, the code will be executed. Now, here, how to print the data? Supposing here, I'm accessing the data present in the 0th index. I am putting in the first iteration I value 0, sname of 0 will return the data available in the specified position. Then it goes, I value will be incremented to 1. It accesses the data present in the first position, then second position, third position, fourth position. Like this, we can able to fetch the entire data available in the array by constructing a loop. And do observe the output here. Length is 5. We are able to access the entire data available in the array. Supposing here, by mistake, if I use less than or equal to sname.length, you tell me when I run this code, what happens? What happens when I execute this code? We get a exception. At the last iteration, we receive out of boundary exception. See, this is a common mistake generally we do while creating the logic. You do observe we are receiving out of boundary exception. In the last iteration, there is no further element, but your code trying to access the next element available in the array, which is not present, your code throwing out of bound exception. So this is the most commonly doing mistake by the coders. So this carefully we have to mention. If I want to use less than or equal to, here I can use -1. Length -1. Finally, the logic would be the same. Okay, but I always, in this scenario, definitely I prefer this y equal to -1. This is the preferred mechanism. I hope you understood this one. Now, the same let me explain in another way. I hope everybody till this point, everybody understood, right? I hope everybody understood till this point. Right. Now, let me teach you of doing the same in another way. Now, as it is a programming, we have multiple options. Now, I'm declaring an array Here Sname is my array name. Directly I can assign the values here like this. Value 1, comma value 2, comma value 3, comma value 4, value 5, and so on. I can put the values here. Here I'm storing, Richards. Here I'm storing the John, the Smith, some value, and some other value. Just a minute. Just a minute. Well, you tell me what is the mistake in this code. I made a small mistake in this code. What is the mistake in my code? In this statement, what is the mistake I made? Here, Name is a scalar variable because you have not put the square brackets. If you put square brackets, data type square bracket, then only it will be treated as a array variable. See, I have not defined the size. I have not defined the size. Directly, I assign the values into the array. How many values you have stored here? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So automatically size will be defined while declaring in this array. So here I'm declaring an array and I'm assigning the data into the array. Now this is the other way of declaring an array. Now I want to access the data present in the array. The same mechanism. First, I wanted length of the array. Now it will return the value 5. Now I want to access the data present in the array. Sm of 0. It will return the data present in the first index of the array, Richards. I want to access the entire data present in the array, the same for loop. This is other way of declaring an array and storing the data and accessing the data. Here you have not mentioned the size, but directly you are assigning the values while defining the array. How many values you are assigning here, based on the size will be defined automatically. Got it? Now, let's see. I'm declaring the array equal to new string You tell me what is the mistake in this statement? What is the mistake in this statement? Yes, correct. While defining the array, you must specify the size. Size I was not mentioned. Now I am giving the size. But previously in my previous code, I was not given any size because directly you are storing the values into the array. How many values you are storing, accordingly, size will be defined. Here I am not storing the data directly. So first you must specify the size of the array, then you can store the data into the appropriate indexes. So the both methods are same. So in system point of view, two methods whatever I have introduced you, the two methods are same. Well, now in this entire discussion, I declared array of data type string. For any other data types also, even for primitive data types also, same mechanism is applicable. Let me explain. Here, I'm declaring an array to store the integers. Now, this is an array of type integer. My array name here, for example, mocks equal to new integer. You have to specify the size. This is one mechanism. Okay, first let me go with this. Now, mocks is my array name. In the 0th index, I want to store the data something like this. Say 60. Marks of any data type, the procedure would be the same. This is what I'm trying to highlight. Or here, let me change the size to 3. Marks of 2 equal to, say, for example, 18. Now I'm accessing length of the array, marks dot length. Now I want to access the entire data present in this array. Okay, I'll construct a loop for int I equal to 0, I less than marks dot length I plus plus. Now I'm accessing the data present at the specified position, marks of I. Here in the previous example, I have declared an array of data type string. Here I declared an array of type integer. So any other primitive data type also, the procedure would be the same. You please observe the output now. Size is 3. The values we are accessing available in the array. See, observing the same code what I am doing, this data type I am changing to byte. Now this is an array of type byte. I am running this code. You know, byte used to access the small value, same output. Now I'm changing this data type to short. Because here I have all integer data, integer category data type. Now previously I used, the int. Now let me go with the last one, the long. Sorry, long. Right? In the integer category, I used 4 data types. The same applicable for even float or double, whatever it may be. See, now I am going with array of type double. Double. So double meaning integer values you can store, even fraction values also we can store. See, we stored 60, but in the memory it is storing 60.0 because double will have this kind of format. Okay, let us see wanted what I'm doing. At the last position, I'm not storing any data. You tell me when I run this code at the last position, what is the output you get? There is no data stored here at this position. When I run this code, what is the output you get here for this? You do remember for all integer category data types, default value will be 0. Byte, short, int, long, no data was stored, default value would be 0. For all real numbers category like float and double, default value will be 0.0. For character, a single white space. For Boolean, false is the default value. When I run this, at the last position, the value will be 0.0. Check out this. Got it? So any data type you can go like this. Any data type, same mechanism is applicable. Supposing now I want to go with char. Char. Maybe, for example, course is my array variable name. New char. Here what I do, as if the data type is character, course of the 0th position, I want to store a value. Just a minute, sir. I'll remove this. I'm storing, for example, yes. You tell me what is the mistake in this code? What is the mistake in this statement? Yes. It is showing some error. What is the mistake? This array of data type char, character value must be included in the single quotes, not in the double quotes. This is the difference between the char and string. String value must be enclosed in the double quotes. Character value must be enclosed in the single quotes. Okay, now course. In the next position, I want to store, for example, Q. In the next position, I want to store, for example, L. So for any data type, mechanism would be the same. Now I'm constructing a for loop. Int I equal to 0, I less than course dot size, course dot length, I plus plus. Now I'm accessing the data. Course of I. Well, when I run this, you can access the data present in the array, SQL. Now here, I'm not storing any data here. When I run this, the last position, see a single white space. A single white space because no data is stored. It is simply storing, showing you the memory which allowed to store a single character because there is no data stored here. So any data type arrays, the procedure would be the same. And here I introduce you another mechanism also here, right? How? Let us see this. I'm declaring an array of type char course equal to, I said in this format, a single character S, comma, Q, comma, L. So a array will be declared with the size 3. And directly we are storing the values into the array. Now through the loop I am accessing the data present in the array. Maybe the integer data type also in the same way. Int, for example, age. I'm storing the data like, say for example, say 20, 30, 40, something like this. Here it is age.length. We are accessing the data present in the array age. So what I'm trying to highlight, defining an array, storing the data into array, for any data type, same mechanism will go. I hope you clear about this. You do confirm till this point, understood? Well, good. Now here, we have arrays, single dimensional array, multi-dimensional array. Supposing I want to store name of the student, also marks of the student. I have multiple students in my class. I want to store all student names, their appropriate marks. Let me go in this way. Let me teach in this way. Consider this part. Now I want to store, name of the student and, for example, marks of the student. Only two things, right? Age, name and marks. Here I am giving the student name, Richard. Storing the marks, 16. Name of the student, John. Storing the marks. Smith. Storing the marks. Here I'll say these kind of arrays are called two-dimensional array. If I want to store only name of the student, I can go with a single dimensional array. Only marks of the student, I'll go with a single dimensional array. I wanted the both name and marks together. I want to store into the same memory location. Definitely in this context, we have to go for two-dimensional arrays. Okay, in the sample data, how many rows we have? How many rows we have? In this sample data, how many rows we have? 3 rows. How many columns we have? How many columns we have? 2 columns. Well, see, just I'm highlighting one thing, only this one. You tell me it's row number and column number. Don't refer the Excel sheet. Only for your understanding, I took a Excel sheet. In Java memory, keep the Java memory in mind and tell me what is its position. If I say Excel, I will say A1. Don't say in Excel point of view, in Java memory point of view. 0th row, 0th column. Now index, and do remember, index starts from 0, not from 1. 0, 0, correct? 0, 0. 0th row, 0th column. This one. And what about this? What about this? This. 0th row, first column, 0, 1. 0, 0, 0, 1. 1, 0, 1, 1. 2, 0, 2, 1. Here. Smith, it is 2, 0, 2, 0, meaning second row, 0th column, second row, first column, this one. So if you want to store this kind of data, we have to go for two-dimensional arrays. Right now, here, I'm declaring a two-dimensional array. And I wanted the confirmation from every end. Everybody, are you getting this point? Two-dimensional arrays? You please confirm so that I'll continue. A single dimensional array, you can store only one group of values, like only name of the students, only marks of the students. Okay? If I want to store both student names and marks, definitely we have to go for two-dimensional arrays. Definitely we have to go for a two-dimensional arrays. Right. Now let me teach how to use these two-dimensional arrays. Here, supposing first, I want to store names of the student and their course names, Selenium, QTP, Loader, or whatever. String, a two-dimensional array of type string. So previously we did like this. It indicates it's a single dimensional array. Two-dimensional array of type string. I have to give a name, right? I'm giving a name, student data. Student data is my array name, equal to new string. Sorry, string is a class. Class start with uppercase. Okay. What is the error in this statement? What is the error in this statement? You have not mentioned size. How many rows you want to store? For example, 3 rows. How many columns you want to store? Say 2 columns. You must mention the size while declaring an array, either single dimensional array or two-dimensional array. While defining the array, you must declare the size of the array. Well, now, for your understanding, I put the data in the Excel sheet here. Same data I want to store into the memory. First, I want to store the student name, Richards, at the first row of the first column in this two-dimensional array. You ping me your answer. I want to store Richards, this value Richards, in the 0th row, 0th column of the Java memory, which is student data. You tell me how to store the data. The name of the array, student data, at 0th row. Don't give one. I mean, index as we start, either row index or column index start from 0. 0th row, 0th column, I want to store the name of the student, Richards. The same array, 0th row, in the first column, I want to store. Okay, here, for your understanding, here I given some marks, right? Marks, 60. I'm giving 60 here. Oh, why it is showing the error here? Why it is showing an error? You declared an array to store the string. But here, in the first position, you stored a string, but in the next position, you are trying to store an integer. Right. Now, first here, I'll explain this. Here, we have to make it as an object. There is a type called object that can allow any kind of data. that allow any kind of data. See here, object is a Java class which allows any kind of data. New object. Now you please observe here, no error. You please observe there is no error displayed because object accept allow any kind of data. Got it? Okay, let me go with this. Now, student data, second row. This is the second row. Row number 1, column number 0, second student data. For example, here what is available? John. In the same row number same 1. In the next column 1, I want to store the marks. That's 70. It is second row. It is. This is the first row data. This is the second row data. Here, in the next row, the 0th column, I'm storing the next student name. That's Smith. Student data. In the next column, I'm storing the marks. Say, for example, that 80. Well. So now, I'm printing the length of this two-dimensional array. Length, we'll consider the number of rows here, right? There are about 3 rows. There are about 3 rows here. Now, how to access the data present in this two-dimensional array? Now, student data, I'm giving 0, 0. So when I run this code, the data present in the 0th and 0th column, which is Richards, will be retrieved. Same mechanism, only the numbers we have to change, that's it. If you understand this concept, remaining previously, whatever we have discussed in the same way it is. Now, 0th row, first column. Richards and 60 will be retrieved. Okay, now, I hope you understood this side. The same way you can construct a for loop here. You can construct a for loop. Now here I am constructing a for loop to read this entire data. For int I equal to 0, I less than my array variable name dot length, then I plus plus. Now I want to access the data presented ith row, 0th column. Also, I want to access the data presented ith row, the first column. Okay. Here I'm using, instead of using println, I'm using print. The data will be printed on the same row, first row. The total data printed like this. Okay, here, I'm just using print some line, something like this. Oh, it's not equally bit. Why are nothing confused? So we are able to access the entire data available in the two-dimensional array here, like this. Okay. Right. And this is all about working with arrays. The major points you have to remember, the major things you have to remember in this session. Arrays used to store multiple values in a single variable instead of declaring multiple variables. And do remember, array size should be a fixed size. While declaring an array, you must specify how many values you want to store into it. 10 values or 20 values or 100 values or 4 values, whatever. Array size should be fixed size. We cannot extend the size of an array through coding. Dynamically, you cannot increase the size of an array. If you want to dynamically grow the size of an array, you have to go with Java collections. Tomorrow we'll talk about that, Java collections. With some extended facilities we have. Collection also a similar kind of an array with some extended features. And do remember, if I declare an array of data type, some data type, you have to store same kind of data type elements into the array. So we can store only a fixed set of elements of same data type in a Java array. This is the other point you have to remember. Array size is fixed, same kind of data you can store into the array. In the first position integer, in the second position string, in third position boolean, like this you cannot store. If I go for an object, then I can do that. Arrays are index based, zero based index. First element stored in the zeroth index, second element is stored in the first index, and so on. If you want to get the length of an array, array name dot length, array name dot length. If this Java collections, there is a method called size. Arrays, fixed size arrays, we have to use length. For Java collections like list and set, we have to go for size. We'll talk about that down the line. So while defining an array, I mean every array you are creating is an object. Any kind of array, the definition will be like this. String or int or boolean or char, data type, square brackets indicates it is an array. We have single dimensional array. You can also go with multi-dimensional array. Name of the array equal to new string or new int, new char, something like this. We can store the data like this. And also I have introduced you other way of storing the data. Directly string array sname equal to, directly you can store the values. Right. We can go for single dimensional array, also multi-dimensional array. Thank you. I'll stop here for today. And tomorrow I'll introduce you array list, linked list that belongs to Java collections. Java collections have some little extended features to the arrays. And in many programs, we use Java collections. Majorly, we use two Java collections, set and list. List and set. So there are many other Java collection framework. In Selenium testing point of view, we use only two collections. List we use, set we use, no other collection framework we use. See, do remember, we are learning Java in Selenium point of view. In the entire Selenium, we use only two Java collection framework, list and set. Tomorrow we talk about the list and set. Thank you. Good night. We continue tomorrow.